now we got some urgent news because I think it's bad news for the Baltimore Ravens. In case you have not heard, they fired offensive coordinator. They didn't fire him. Greg Roman, offensive coordinator for the Ravens, they parted ways. Now, if you can read between the lines, y'all know what that typically means. Why is this terrible news? Because in my mind, Greg Roman's the greatest thing that's happened to Lamar Jackson and his career. Let's think about what Greg Roman has done for certain players throughout the course of Greg Roman's career. Remember in San Fran when Greg Roman showed up and Alex Smith was there? Alex Smith was a bust, a 38% winning percentage. Greg Roman shows up, it jumps up to 78. Y'all see the numbers. Completion percentage, higher. Yards per attempt, higher. Passer rating, significantly higher. Alex Smith went to an NFC championship game with Greg Roman. But then Alex Smith got hurt. He had to slide to the left, enter in Colin Kaepernick. Y'all know about Colin Kaepernick. With Greg Roman, Colin Kaepernick, a 64% winning percentage. Without him, 15%. Y'all realize Colin Kaepernick was 3-16 as a starter without Greg Roman? With Greg Roman, Colin Kaepernick, completion percentage higher, yards per attempt higher, passer rating higher. Now let's talk about the man, Lamar Jackson. Greg Roman helped him become a unanimous MVP. Lamar Jackson's a beast on his own, but Greg Roman helped him become a unanimous MVP. That's the number you need to pay attention to. Nearly a 74% winning percentage. Second to only Patrick Mahomes now. If you want to argue that Greg Roman's offense keeps wide receivers from going there, I get it. In the history of Greg Roman offenses, Anquan Bolden in San Francisco, 33 years old. Randy Moss in San Francisco, 35 years old. Des Bryant hadn't played for 2 years, goes to Baltimore, 32 years old. Deshaun Jackson this year, 35 years old. I understand that argument. But any argument outside of the need of receivers, that argument's futile to me. I got to head to the desk. LeSean McCoy, you played under Greg Roman for the Buffalo Bills. You were an all-pro under Greg Roman. So surely there will be no slander coming from you. Surely. There will be none coming from you. But is Greg Roman's departure good or bad for Lamar Jackson?
I actually think it's a good thing. And Greg Roman, excellent coach. He's even a better person, better man. It's hard to have this conversation, but
you got to do it.
I got to do my job. Greg Roman is an excellent coach, right? He's one of the coaches that simplifies the offense. He loves having them big linemen. He still believes in having them big fullbacks / tight ends, as you see that they have that with the Ravens. But we look at Lamar Jackson as a running quarterback because of the offense. Now, think about this for a second. We all know he's athletic and he can run, right? But I want to see him in the offense where he's throwing the ball down the field. I play with Greg Roman. As a running back, you love it. We're going to run the ball a lot of misdirection, a lot of pull blocks, et cetera. But there's nothing down the field to keep them guys back, right? You're always going to have a full loaded box to run against. That's hard to do. With the 49ers, Frank Gore's one of my best friends. We always talk about this. He loves Greg Roman. But they couldn't really throw the ball. What receiver wants to play for offense like that? We always talk about getting Lamar help. In the Ravens case, they might draft some guys, but the help they're really getting is linemen, is fullbacks. They need some guys to stretch the field. You can't stretch the field in this offense. You brought up Kaepernick. You brought up Alex Smith. And that offense, they had Frank Gore, had a beast offensive line, a decade type of defense. I don't know if you remember, but they were averaging like 10 points a game.
Bowman.
Yeah. Of course, you know. But you see what I'm saying? So, like, it's easy to win them type of games on the defense. Look, you give up 14 points or 10 points. If you hold them to that, we're going to win a game. It's any defense. It's any team. I think when you look at all the quarterbacks that you named, Alex Smith, Kaepernick, even Lamar, they don't have no big wide receivers. Think of there's no Pro Bowl receivers. Sammy Watkins was there. He was good. We didn't really throw the ball. Couldn't get nobody come to Buffalo. We were run the ball. The Ravens. What wide receiver wants to come to the Ravens in that type of offense? Players want to play with Lamar. Lamar can throw the ball deep, but the offense holds them back. I think that they get a coordinator that stretches the field, let Lamar run when he wants to run, some RPOs. I think they go to the big dance.
Dora, where do you stand? Is Roman's departure good or bad for Lamar Jackson?
Well, obviously, it's too soon to tell if it's going to be good or bad, but we're going to, react to it. I think if you look at the way that the offense has trended every year since he has been there, they've decreased points per game every season since Lamar's first year. It went from 33 points a game to this year 20.6 points per game. That's a lot of points. Yep. That's a big drop-off. And to Shady's point, you can win that way running the ball. You can win that way bludgeoning everyone. Right. But if you need a big shot down the field, you're not going to get that. And in those big games, like the, playoff games that we keep bringing up with Lamar Jackson where they didn't score a bunch of points, right, that's when you need those big chunk plays and those big moments. And they don't have that in this offense. I don't know that it's entirely on Greg Roman this year, obviously Lamar was hurt at the end of last year and he was hurt at the end of this year. So,
correct.
that plays a role in how your offense looks and how the team looks and how the season's going to end. But at the end of the day, everything Shady just said is true. This is not an offense that we are afraid of, particularly if Lamar Jackson's not on the field.
Yeah, I don't think you have to slander Greg Roman for this to be true. You went through all of his credentials. He's clearly a very accomplished coach. He's a very good NFL coordinator. But the facts are what they are. Like, the Ravens have trended in the wrong direction every year since Lamar won that MVP. Even when Lamar was healthy this year, they were 11th overall. They were 8th in scoring. Like, those aren't terrible numbers, but you would like to think it could be better, right? And then obviously it fell off a cliff without Lamar Jackson. Again, is that all Greg Roman's fault? No. And sometimes guys have to be scapegoats. I think there's a little bit of that going on. Yeah. But I do also think it's fair to say, like, over the course of 3, 4, 5 or more years, I mean, Greg Roman's been there for a while now, I think it's good to just bring in new ideas and a new approach. Lamar Jackson, he's not old by any means. What, he's 26? 26. But he's a much older player than the guy that won the MVP. Injuries have become a concern. I do think, like, you have to change this offense in order to protect your best asset, which is Lamar Jackson. So, yes, I think this can be very good for Lamar Jackson. But I do think he damn sure better be involved, which is what the Ravens brass said today. He better be involved in picking that guy, and you better be very collaborative and think long and hard about it if it is going to improve. Because in Greg Roman's defense, they were a very good offense at times during his tenure.
I don't know that Greg Roman needs a defense. Greg Roman just needs somebody to speak facts. Lamar Jackson lost 4 games this year. In all 4 that he lost, the Ravens were up by 2 scores. They were 8-4 this year. Lamar Jackson was 5-2 last year.
Scored
before
some
he got
points
hurt.
in those games, too.
Scored all the points.
Yep.
Lamar Jackson was 5-2 last year. Through the weeks that Lamar Jackson was playing, he had more yards than 10 offenses in totality. Greg Roman being talented is not something that was distant. I'm also thinking about it like this, 2-5.
Okay.
Not nobody. Greg Roman didn't tell Lamar Jackson to throw a pick 6 to Taron Johnson against the Buffalo Bills in the playoffs.
No.
Greg Roman didn't tell Tyler Huntley to stretch the ball out from 3 yards away from the end zone.
Yeah.
Like, Greg Roman had the Ravens offense have 100 more yards than the Bengals offense. And you've said, and I agree with, the Bengals offense has the best skill positions in all of football. So Greg Roman took a Tyler Huntley, took J.K. Dobbins, took Isaiah Likely, took Mark Andrews, and said, you know what? We're going to have 100 more yards than the most talented offensive skill position group in football. I just don't get how anybody can look at Greg Roman and say, man, it's on Greg.
Well, I just think that, like, even like right now in the playoffs, like, you got to have your guys, right? Like, okay, so the Bengals, you brought the Bengals up. Look at that offensive supporting cast that Joe Burrow has. Nobody's going to come to the Ravens and be the supporting cast for Lamar Jackson in this offense.
Let me ask you this, because you bring up a phenomenal point. Dave, check me on this, because you more than likely will know. Jamar Chase was drafted to Cincinnati.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Joe Mixon was drafted to Cincinnati.
Also, yes.
T. Higgins was drafted to Cincinnati. I think Tyler Boyd was drafted to Cincinnati.
All of them.
Let's go to the Bills. They play the Bills this weekend?
Yep.
Okay, is that a better one?
Yes.
Okay, so Stephon Diggs.
Yep.
They go get him. We need a big-time playmaker, right? The Dolphins.
Mm-hmm.
Tua is up and down all last year. He get Tyreek Hill. It was like, whoa, he's arrived. You need players to compete. You need players to be a good team, a good offense. Nobody wants to play that offense. You know how this thing works. Why would I come to a team where we're not throwing the ball?
Okay, let me answer that question if it's not rhetorical.
Real quick, like we have, unless you're the Niners, in which they have that type of defense, right? Mm-hmm. And I do think that Kyle Shanahan is a better OC. He's more creative, okay? Like, no wide receiver wants to play in an offense like that when you're playing with 3 tight ends and a fullback, and then you're throwing the ball to them. That's the only offense in football right now that has 2 tight ends on the field on 1st and 10, second and 6. They running routes. They running posts. Like, come on. Lamar Jackson want to throw to that.
The Ravens ran a crossing route with their 300 pounds.
Come on,
I have a thought that
Patrick Mahomes to be.
I have a thought that I think all of y'all are equally educated to answer.
Okay.
Shady, you know it best. Joy, you know it from experience. Dave, you know it from covering. I think money's the trump card. Tyreek Hill left a generational quarterback, a quarterback that won him a Super Bowl, a generational offensive mind.
Okay.
To go to a quarterback in Tua Tagovailoa who has been consistently hurt, who has questions around his arm strength, and a first-year head coach. Why'd Tyreek Hill do that? For the bag. Go ahead.
Wrong.
Oh.
Drew Rosenhaus is my agent. Mm-hmm. Tyreek Hill's agent is Drew Rosenhaus. Mm-hmm. So I say, what happened with the deal, et cetera, et cetera? Andy Reid, this is why he's such a great coach. He gave him an option. You want to go to New York and play there, or you want to Miami?
But he didn't have to leave.
Hold up. What you mean? What you mean?
He didn't have to leave. He was under contract in KC.
He wanted more. No.
He wanted more. He wanted more what?
He wanted more money.
He wanted more money. My point exactly.
No.
My point exactly.
First of all,
that was the point he was trying to make.
No. But he said going to Tua. What I'm saying is he chose Tua because Tua was decent. The first thing he said was how Tua was accurate.
Generational.
Okay, first of all, we're not.
Yeah, but it's not. But he's not going to leave his money on the table either.
Yeah, but
Baltimore
money is the driving factor for
Baltimore's not
everything.
trying to pay
That's
Lamar.
That's not the same.
Why would they be paying a wide receiver? They're not trying to pay their quarterback.
That's my point. I'm saying, to me, it's not a matter of people don't want to go to that offense. The trump card is money. DeMarco Murray, when you left, came to Philly, and you know Philly isn't a DeMarco Murray offense. He came for the bag. We had the same agent at the time.
What I'm saying is, when I said the money part, it wasn't about that because he's wanting his value. Like, you can't tell me Patrick Mahomes is making his value money he deserves. Travis Kelce's making his value money he deserves, and I can't. So that's not even the money part. This is like what I deserve, right? So then when Andy Reid gave him the option, do you want to go to the Jets or do you want to Miami? They both were losing teams. I want to go to a quarterback that I think I can still put numbers up and win. That's what he did. Look at his numbers. Look at the wins, the playoffs, right? And he was top 5 in passing.
You set a record
Come
for
on,
the Dolphins.
talk to me.
You set a record for the Dolphins.
Joey, slow me down if I'm going too fast. You know what I mean?
Joy, do you think that this is going to help Lamar Jackson in the contract negotiations? Do you think it's going to hurt? Where do you think this is actually? Because that's really what's all important here is making Lamar Jackson happy. How do you think Greg Roman and the departure now might influence or might not at all influence?
I don't think it influences that in any way because this is obviously an organizational decision. I don't think Lamar is making a call like this, particularly when he doesn't even have a long-term deal. So part of it is a little scapegoat type of situation. You're not going to get rid of Harbaugh. Something has to change. This was an unsuccessful season. But I think when I step back and look at macro what's going on with the Ravens, I just have more questions than I have answers. I think, once again, we're getting too caught up in the fact that it's the Ravens brand. They're not really doing anything right now. It's a lot of, the defense and running the ball. Y'all lost in the first rounds. You're home. Lamar's not there. He's not under contract. You're firing your offensive coordinator. You don't really have high-level skill positions. The Ravens are branding bigger than they are playing right now. And I don't care how that game went against the Bengals. The Bengals won. They won the game. Right. They are moving on to the next round. The Bengals were in the Super Bowl last year. You're playing catch-up to them in your own division. And the rest of them are coming. Deshaun Watson's going to have a whole offseason with the Browns. Kenny Pickett's going to be better next year with Mike Tomlin. I don't know what the Ravens are doing,
That's the point.
And that's more of the question that I have.
But that's
We are getting better.
Who is? Oh, everybody else?
Yeah.
I just don't know losing Greg Roman if that makes you better. That's where I'm.
Well, they're not good enough now.
Wait and see who they hire.
But with Lamar, they are. When Lamar's healthy, he has the second highest winning percentage in football. So I don't know that you can say they're not good enough.
But we're not trying to win regular season games.
Then you got to tell
You
Lamar,
always bring up the playoff games. That's
true.
the ones that matter.
But then you got to tell Lamar, don't throw a pick six to the Buffalo Bills and tell Tyler Huntley don't reach the ball.
Tyler Huntley is not the factor here. Tyler Huntley is a backup quarterback. It doesn't matter what Tyler Huntley does. The expectations like that should not be on Tyler Huntley. Take aside what the 49ers are doing, which is an outlier situation. That is not the norm. Right. Okay, and we don't even know how successful that's going to be. I think they're going to continue on. I think they'll win this weekend. But if they don't, is anyone going to be surprised? No. They have a 7th-round rookie playing quarterback. Tyler Huntley should not have to carry the Ravens through the postseason. That's just not reasonable.
Correct, but Lamar's not there. I guess the ethos of my argument or the ethos of my stance is Greg Roman with Lamar Jackson is the best combination at coordinator and quarterback outside of Patrick Mahomes. Like, the numbers literally say that.
But I feel like they've reached their ceiling. Right? And
and
Lamar can throw the ball. We haven't really seen a lot of it because they don't do that.
And
like,
part of the reason why Lamar might be injured is because they're having to rely on him so much.
Because when I had Greg Roman in Buffalo, we had an offensive pass coordinator. I never seen that. I guess I came from Andy Reid and et cetera, even Chip Kelly. But like he did all the runs and all that, the exotic runs and et cetera. But we had a passing coordinator. You calling the passes? Lamar Jackson, he's an MVP. He needs the full dose. He needs running the pass, need coach call it up, dice it up. Give him that opportunity.
Subscribe here to get the latest from Speak and go watch a few segments from our other shows on FS1.